I think there's a surrender here, like surrendering the complaining mind, the mind that's always criticizing others. I've talked about distortions in the feminine. I think right now we're healing that. The dark feminine is very discerning and critical. It keeps people's at an arm's distance, an arm's length. Trekking up a hill, so I'm breathing a little heavier. And right now, I think there's a return to the sacred feminine. And the sacred feminine is much more allowing. It's not always caught up in the past, concerned with how you did it wrong, how others are doing it wrong, how I did it wrong. It lets all that go and lets life just support it in the present moment so that it can experience joy and love and peace, its own divinity. You know, it brings to my mind, I've been thinking a lot about the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother is a great representation of the sacred feminine. Beings like Mother Teresa and Anandamaya Ma, even Jesus Christ, they are the embodiment of the divine feminine. And so it's not so much that the mind is wrong, but it's surrendering that critical part of the mind and bringing it under control of the heart. And what I've been feeling, what I've been doing is see, this is where I start to judge myself really hard when I need a moment. Just bear with me. Thank you. Going up some hills here. I should stop. I think I'm gonna do that. Okay, I'm up on a hill. So it's bringing in the Divine Mother, offering her to enter your heart, to heal it. So I imagine for me it's Anandamaya Ma right now, who's like the representation of an absolute surrender to the divine, unconditional love, and just the highest presence. There's nothing vulgar about her. So bringing that into my heart, because what I want to do, and I think what many people do, is we project all those vulgarities in ourselves onto other people. It's funny, consciousness has a way of playing games and playing tricks on us. It's like the classic example of the snake being mistaken for a rope. The mind is naturally attuned, due to our conditioning, toward being biased toward threats. It's constantly seeing threats where they are none, where it's just totally harmless. So if you're struggling, if there's someone in your life you're attached to, can you imagine this, that within them is a high, very high being, a saintly being? And can you imagine, can you see Anandamaya Ma? Can you see Jesus Christ within them? That sort of presence that's unconditionally loving. And that what you actually see is not real, it's projection. It's all fantasy. And it's the rope that looks like a snake. It's God in drag, as Ram Dass would say. The discerning mind. I'm going to talk more about the critical, overly critical mind. Surrendering that. I have a tendency, and maybe you do as well, to punish people, to hold them to who they were in the past as a way to protect my heart, is to keep them being that sinner, that monster, and keeping them in a prison and a prison sentence, and I alone determine when they're allowed out. But really, I'm keeping myself in that prison by holding them to who they were in the past. And maybe they haven't changed much, but I've changed. You've changed. We're all changing. So this is what I mean. It's like surrendering that part of the mind that's always in the past. It's never present. And it's judging others. Well, you did it wrong then. I did it wrong then. And so we're caught in this perceptual prison, and we're never free to be in the sacred feminine and flow. Let our feelings flow. Let ourselves be joyful in this moment. Not needing anything. Not in fear. And so, start walking again. So I think our challenge is, can we see that high being, that saint within that person who we've kept in that perceptual prison through our projections? Can we re-own those projections and see only the highest in them? Because that's the ultimate reality. Even if they don't know it yet, that is there. That is who they are, and everything else is ultimately illusion. It reminds me of A Course in Miracles. It's releasing the past through freeing others of guilt. No longer holding others guilty, including yourself. The last thing I want to say about this dream is bodies, decomposing bodies represent the death and rebirth cycle. And I think we're all going through that right now. Many of us are. I mean, life is constantly changing. We're all going through some sort of death and rebirth all the time. And a cycle may be closing out. And it's embracing that newness and not clinging to our attachments, because we're enslaved as long as we are holding on to life, holding on to people, making certain people and situations special. That's giving away our power. And so when we don't have so many preferences because we've surrendered that overly critical mind, we're much freer to actually flow with life and not get attached. And that is our very nature. We are free beings.